castle kit first came out, I never would have predicted that I would like it as much as I do, but I have been building with that pack so much more than I ever expected, and I actually built another castle this week, but this time it's a more magical castle. Crystal Creations coming out has really inspired me here, so I tried to combine those two packs with Realm of Magic, and with them I built a very fancy magical castle in The Sims 4. So let's just dive right into the build, and I'll kind of walk you through the inspiration and what we made and how we did it. So for starters, we're building this in Glimmerbrook, which is the world that came with Realm of Magic. I have really complicated feelings about Glimmerbrook because it is a genuinely very beautiful world. The environment here around the house, you'll see, is so pretty. I love the trees and the rocks and the color scheme. It's just really nice out here. The only issue is that the other lots, the ones that come by default, are so bad that it makes it really hard for me to like Glimmerbrook. And I know I complain about it all the time, but this was from The Sims 4's flop era, and for some reason, the builds they were doing, the official builds, were so bad. So it makes me not want to play here when the neighbors' houses are like this terrible. And it's also really quite small. It only has like 4 lots, and the environment around it isn't that big either, so it's not the best to play in, but it is really nice, especially if you're playing as a spellcaster because it's so close to access the spellcaster realm and all of this stuff. This house in particular is perfect for a spellcaster, but maybe like a spellcaster because it's kind of tiny. It's got space for like 3 Sims, I would say. You can see right now it's a very small but like tall and skinny sort of castle. It is technically 3 stories. It looks like 4, but I didn't put anything in the attic. It has 2 floors on the ground and then 1 in the basement. Upstairs, it's got 2 bedrooms, so there's space for like a couple and maybe 1 child to live here. And then the basement has all of the magic stuff. So like the cauldron for your spellcaster, we've got the crystal making stuff. The downstairs is tight, but it has a small living room, a kitchen, and like a dining room space. And there is 2 bathrooms in this house, but I really struggled with the layout because for some reason I decided to use these turrets, and the turrets are cute, but very difficult to like actually furnish because it makes the layout quite strange. I always regret it when I do stuff like this because I loved the idea of it being small and like very tall, so it has medium wall height everywhere. But then when I try and put a staircase in, because the walls are so high but the room is so small, the stairs barely fit. So we had quite the process trying to get the floor plan figured out with this one. I loved doing the outside. I had a blast going in and like putting all of my plants. I made it very like overgrown, but in a whimsical way. It's overgrown like pretty, not overgrown old. It's like beautiful, not abandoned, basically. I built this live on my Twitch stream and the chat kept calling it a fairy castle, which I want to clarify again. There is no news about a fairy pack. People are just really into the idea, so it keeps getting brought up like all the time. And I built this like whimsical, floral, pretty pink castle, and then chat was like, oh my god, it's a fairy castle. There's no fairies. There's no word of fairies. I don't even think we're gonna get a fairy pack. If we do get a fairy pack, it's probably years away. Obviously, the community has been talking about it a lot recently, but even if they started making it today, it would probably take a couple years for the pack to actually come out. So I want to like help manage expectations, okay? There's no reason to think there's fairies. People just want them. And I do understand the vibes. The place is like covered in vines and like pretty florals and ivy and stuff. I put pink flowers everywhere outside. Once we start landscaping, I think you're gonna love it. I feel like the building itself looks kind of strange when there's no plants down here, but trust the process because once we start getting some extra things added in outside, it really starts to come together. Now you can see right now, primarily we're using the castle kit. We've got the castle kit windows, the castle kit doors, castle kit wallpaper, but we also have a lot of ivy, and most of the ivy that I'm using is from Debug in University. So the ones that are kind of like corner pieces, those are Debug and they're from the University pack. There's like some little circular ivy pieces that are from Cottage Living, and the pretty floral ivy pieces, those are actually from Get Together, which is kind of weird. A lot of people don't know that one exists. For a long time, those floral ivy pieces were like the only ones that we had in the entire game. So I have a very soft place in my heart for them, but they're also perfect. They have some beautiful colors. They're kind of wispy, so it works well for this sort of thing. So as you can see, we are already off to a not so great start in terms of pack content. I used a lot of packs here. We went went all out with this one. The other probably most used pack in this was romantic garden stuff. I used that a lot on the outside. It makes sense when you think about it because I was trying to have a romantic garden. But I used a lot of the florals from that pack. And cottage living too, because cottage living has some really nice debug landscaping. It's kind of weird because you can't access it by default, but if you go into debug, you can. And the other main thing from romantic garden stuff that I really wanted to have was the wishing well. I felt like the wishing well had the perfect energy for our magic castle, so I wanted to put that down here. Romantic garden stuff is kind of a weird one because I feel like it's not the most commonly owned pack because it's fun, but it's not really a standout. You know, if you're gonna pick one stuff pack, I probably wouldn't pick romantic garden stuff. It does have some kind of cool stuff in it, specifically the wishing well. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but you can wish for a lot of things in there and it can go really well or really badly. Like for example, if you wish for love in the wishing well and the well is mad at you, you might get like an enemy that you have a high romance bar with. It might spawn you a ghost that you're in love with. It might make you just feel flirty. I just have a lot of different options for chaos that can stem from this. You could wish for money and it might give you money, or it might take away your money. So it's just a really silly kind of fun feature. Most people probably don't have much use for it, but it is a fun thing to have around sometimes. And I think a lot of you might have romantic garden stuff now because they did give it away for free for a bit a few months ago. And honestly, I'm sorry to even bring that up because if you missed out on that, you're probably just sad now. And I shouldn't even say it. But it was free for a bit a while back. It's not free anymore, and I'm really sorry about that. They actually did that a bunch towards the end of the year last year. They gave out a couple packs for free, including My First Pet stuff. I think that's really interesting. I'll be curious to see if they do that again. I wonder if it was like an experiment for them, or if they were just being nice. Probably not, because they don't do things out of the goodness of their heart, like it's EA. But I wonder why they decided to do that, and like why those two packs. My theory is that those are probably two of the lesser selling stuff packs, because if I were them and I had dozens of packs to choose from, if I had to pick one to give away for free, I would give away the one that the least number of people are gonna buy. Like that's just the most logical choice. So does that mean that romantic garden stuff is one of the worst selling stuff packs? My First Pet stuff, that one makes sense. That one has some community drama. People hate that pack. Like I get why they gave that one away for free, but I guess with romantic garden stuff, it's not the most like immediately enticing based on name. With some of the other packs, it's more obvious what it includes, but if you don't like to build, you probably wouldn't like romantic garden stuff, because to me the biggest selling point is the landscaping. And like what does romantic garden stuff mean? The other stuff packs like paranormal, you kind of get the gist of it a little bit quicker. It's kind of similar to how a while back they did a giveaway of Jungle Adventure for free, but on the Epic Games Store. And again, I'm sorry to bring it up because it's not free right now, but it was a while ago. And that one makes sense to me too, because I wouldn't be surprised if Jungle Adventure were the worst selling game pack. And I don't think that it's a bad pack. I just think that when you look at a list of game packs, the other ones might stand out a little bit more or be a little bit more obvious about what they include. Things like dine out, more people at least probably want to have restaurants in their game, and they might not really understand what comes in Jungle Adventure. Plus it's old now, so it's like not as obvious anymore. They will never do this, but I would just love to have data, sales data for all of the Sims packs. I would do anything to see like actual stats on what sells the most and everything, because that fascinates me. People like James Turner have done community surveys about what packs people own and stuff, but even then it's a little bit skewed because that's like the Sims community who watches YouTube, you know? And specifically James's YouTube. I want to know about everybody. Like tell me what packs are most owned on Xbox versus PC, and like think about how many Sims players there are that don't consume any Sims content online. You and I, we are like deep in the Sims community, right? But there are so many people that are just casual Sims players that don't have this like obsession that a lot of us do. And I want to know what packs they buy. Like that's just so interesting to me. But anyway, we are almost done with the majority of the landscaping now. I'm just putting in all these flowers. You can see I kind of went through and layered a bunch of different kinds of pink flowers. Everything is pink outside, but I think it looks really beautiful. It kind of has like wildflower vibes a little bit. It's not fully done. I went through and did all of the plant placement first, but we obviously have to go back and add in all the terrain paint, but I'm waiting until the end to do that because the terrain paint bug is still around and I refuse to have my game delete my terrain paint again. The last time I did a really dramatic set of landscaping was that sunflower build from last weekend, and my terrain paint deleting in that build almost made me quit. So I was not gonna allow that to happen to me today. And at this point in the build, we had bigger things to worry about because we were finally starting to work on the floor plan, and the floor plan of this was really difficult for me. It's hard, like I was saying before, with the size of the walls and the staircase, it's just hard to fit in because it's so skinny. And then I was struggling to know where the bedrooms would go and like where the kitchen would go specifically, because we don't have a lot of like empty corners that could fit a kitchen. There's a lot of weird rounded bits and like turrets, and you cannot put kitchens on diagonals. It does not work. There's weird lighting bugs, like it's just not safe. And I also wanted to have a basement because I wanted to have all of the pretty office stuff down there, so I had to find a staircase space for that too. So it just took a while to figure out how the floor plan should be arranged. I tried a few different things. I went back and forth between some things, and what was so annoying is I actually kept the original floor plan. So I did one, deleted the whole thing, and then went back and did it all again, and then went back to the first one. So I cut out some of the back and forth process from the speed build because you don't need to see me do all that just to end up going back to the original. That's ridiculous. What I did do though that I thought was kind of interesting was use platforms in the weird diagonal bit in the kitchen. So we have this kind of nice bay window set up in the kitchen here, and I wanted to have counters there. You can't do that though, obviously, because they don't fit in that space. So I put a platform instead and tried to make it counter height, and then I ended up covering it with clutter. So I put things like crystals and plants and little magical details over there. So it kind of felt like it was a part of the kitchen, even though it wasn't actually cabinetry. And then in this room, we also have a small dining room table. So I put it like kind of in the center with a rounded table and a rounded rug. We've got a little bump out in the turret behind the stairs. I don't even know if you can see it, but I put a cauldron in there because it is like weird in a corner, but it also kind of makes sense because it's like in the kitchen. You can make mac and cheese in there and just leave it. So I felt like that was a good spot for at least one of the cauldrons. We do have two. And then of course we have the staircase to get upstairs from here. And overall, I think the floor plan kind of fits. You can also access the back patio from this door, so you can get into the backyard next to the kitchen. You can see a giant archway into the living room from here. That is also from the castle kit, and it's so fun to use that stuff because we don't normally get a chance to use some of these wacky giant archways. So that was kind of a nice touch. Pack-wise, in this room, I'm using the Realm of Magic counters. We've got actually curtains from the Modern Luxe kit, which I'm really sorry about. And then the dining table is from Horse Ranch, and the rug in there is from Realm of Magic. So again, so many packs happening. You may have also just seen a quick detour where I went in and put some bookshelves in the living room. I was trying to hide the staircase into the basement. I do that a lot where I want to use the bookcase door, but I don't know how you feel about this, but the bookcase doors are like so weird and flat. It doesn't look like a bookcase. It looks like a door, and it's very obvious that it's a door, but when you're trying to make a hidden secret bookcase door, you don't want it to be so obvious. So what I did was take a bigger bookshelf that's like an actual bookshelf, put it in the middle, and then put the two bookcase doors on either side. That way it looks like it's intentional, it's sort of symmetrical, it makes sense. The only issue there is that there is a door to nowhere. One of the bookcases opens to the stairs, and the other one opens to a gaping hole. So just don't walk through the second one and you'll be fine. It's okay because your Sims won't use that one, like it's just decorative, I guess, but it is something to consider because I guess it looks kind of weird from within the staircase hallway too, because you can see the door is to nowhere. But I'm not that worried about how the staircase hallway looks. I'm more worried about how the living room looks because the hallway's only one tile wide. Like you're not looking at the hallway too much. While I'm starting to decorate though, I usually use these speed builds as kind of like a podcasty life update place. I've already been podcasting about Sims packs, but let me tell you my actual life update because last weekend I went to New York. Honestly, it was terrible timing because my flight was on Thursday morning at 6 a.m. Well, the new crystal pack came out on Thursday afternoon. So I had a very limited amount of time to get content made on the crystal pack. I was like pulling an all-nighter trying to finish that stuff. And then I left the house at 4 in the morning. It was a whole thing. But the reason I went to New York last weekend was to see the Stardew Valley concert. I know a lot of you are probably also fans of Stardew Valley, but just in case you're not, it's a farming game. I've played it so much, like for so long. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And the concert is that they have an orchestra performing the soundtrack from Stardew Valley live. And so I wanted to go really badly, and my friend managed to get tickets because she lives in New York. So I went up there to visit her and stay at her house and then go and see the concert. In fact, the friend in question is my friend Hope, who does the closed captions on my YouTube videos. So if you have ever used the closed captions here on my YouTube channel, well, there you go. Now you know Hope. But also while I was there, I went to the Transit Museum. We went on like a little book bookstore tour of New York City, which was like the best day of my life. I had a fantastic time. It was a short trip, but it was a really fun trip. Obviously, I'm back now, but that's what I was doing last weekend. I also went to the Olivia Rodrigo concert on Tuesday, so I've had kind of a busy week. That was also so fun, so cool. Chapel Roan opened for her, who I am also a giant fan of, so it was just a really good time. I've struggled with anxiety my entire life, but especially anxiety in loud places, crowded places. So usually concerts are like a huge no-go for me, or at least they have been for much of my life. But I've been to a couple of concerts this year, and I think that I handled it well, which maybe you don't care about, but was a big deal for me. So I was like mostly sort of okay at the concert. Me and Dan got so lucky with tickets for that one too, because we had signed up, like as you do for the verified fan pre-sale or whatever. We got waitlisted from that, didn't get tickets when they first came on sale. But like a month ago, I think they added extra seats in Orlando. I think they like intentionally added some more that were more obstructed. They just put some more that were kind of behind the stage. And so we got an email being like, hey, there's some more tickets available. And we were able to get tickets regular price, like not even scalper price, and got to go to the concert. So that was a huge win. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, I'll stop after this, I promise. Back to the New York thing for a second. I drove to the airport and I parked at the airport, and that was a big deal for me. This is gonna sound so silly, okay? I've talked about it a lot over the years, but I've dealt with some pretty bad driving anxiety for a long time. I've been doing a lot better with that too. Still gets me, don't get me wrong. But I drove to the airport at 4 in the morning, parked in the new terminal. I've never flown out of Terminal C in Orlando before because we just got a new terminal and not that many airlines fly out of it. It's like mostly international airlines, but also JetBlue for whatever reason. And our flight to New York was JetBlue. So I drove to the new terminal and I parked there for the first time. I think half the battle is just like the not knowing what to expect of the parking situation for me, which is pretty normal, I think. And so it being new and like me having not been there, I was kind of freaked out by it, but it was fine. It was okay. There was a couple open spots, literally a couple, but it was fine. And that's how my week went. So kind of a big week, actually. A lot has gone on. I don't normally do this many things. Normally I'm just here, literally just here, but we've had a lot happening this week. And we are finally moving on a little bit more to the interior of the house. So you might have noticed, but I did the primary bedroom. We used the beautiful Realm of Magic bed. Realm of Magic has this fantastic canopy bed that has like a glass canopy, and one of the swatches is kind of like celestial. And so I used that because of course I did. It's perfect for this house. And then in the kids' bedroom, it's just got a single bed, also a ton of Realm of Magic stuff in here, but I decorated it kind of like bluey colored, I guess, which is a weird way of describing it. I've been doing a lot of builds with the crystal pack this week, obviously, because it's new. And all of this has made me really inspired to play with occult sims again, because I don't really use spellcasters all that much, but I've been having a lot of fun making these spellcaster houses. So it's making me really, really want to use them again. I do actually have a spellcaster in my legacy challenge on my Twitch streams right now. I'm playing the Not So Berry challenge there, and one of my sims married a spellcaster. The joke is that it's the green gen of Not So Berry, and they married someone called Elphaba, who is a green spellcaster. Anyway, I've been playing with Elphaba, and I had kind of forgotten just how useful spellcasters are. Like, she's got magic spells that she can use to clean things. She can use spells to fix things. She can teleport around now. She can make the like need repair potion. I mean, why don't I use these more often? It's basically a cheat, but it's just a sim. It's really helpful. And I think the spellcasters are less intrusive than some of the other occult types. Like vampires and werewolves have downsides because they rampage or they die in the sun, but spellcasters don't really have any negatives to them. They're kind of just there. They're like a normal sim who can also do magic. So maybe I'm a changed person. Maybe I'm a Realm of Magic stan now. I don't know. I never thought I'd see the day, but all of a sudden I think I'm a fan. And speaking of Twitch, I may as well plug it real quick. I do stream every day over on my Twitch channel. I play a ton of The Sims. So if you like my YouTube videos, you'll probably also enjoy our Twitch streams because we're live doing this, but like for 3 hours instead of 30 minutes. And oftentimes with my speed builds like this, where it's like a really long build that I then speed up and put on YouTube, I build these things live on Twitch. So if you wanted to ever see like the live building process and hang out with us over there, you can offer suggestions. You can see me being indecisive. You can't really tell about that part when we're doing it sped up, but we go through a lot in these builds. So I'll link my Twitch streams down below in case you want to go follow it. This is my favorite room in the entire house. This is like the magic room, the library, perhaps, if you will. I use those huge built-in bookshelves from the new crystal pack. One of them has a ladder on it. I've got the crystal table so you can make crystals, and I also put in like a living room space and a cauldron. So we've got all of the things in here. I filled the shelves with some little crystal clutter and like a cow plant terrarium. There's a crystal terrarium. So I kind of mix and match some of that stuff. Funnily enough, the crystal terrarium from the Crystal Creations pack matches that cow plant one really well. The two of them look really cool next to each other. The little tiny cow plant one is from the Paranormal Stuff pack, so it's from a different pack, but they do have some crossover. I really appreciate when they do that because it stands alone fantastically, but it also works well with other stuff, and that's like ideal scenario to me. As long as it works and matches other things, then it's perfect and easy to use. I love when they do that because it does stand alone, but it also matches like another pack kind of perfectly. So if you do have both, you can use them together and it works really well. I think that's the best case scenario when packs are easy to mix and match like that, because you kind of get more bang for your buck that way when you can fit in different things together so perfectly. And this one clearly goes really well with Realm of Magic. And surprisingly, Paranormal Stuff. But Paranormal Stuff is just good. You can't go wrong with that pack. It has some really nice decor in that one. I've been getting asked a lot this week how I feel now that I've played the pack a little bit longer. It's been like a full week, how I'm feeling about where it stands compared to other stuff packs. And I think my ranking is gonna be Home Chef Hustle, Crystal Creations, and then Paranormal Stuff. That's my final decision, at least for now. I think I just still feel as though the Home Chef Hustle pack is a little bit more everyday usable and like a little bit more versatile, just because having a kitchen set is so helpful. Like I have every sim has a kitchen. Every sim cooks a lot. Not every sim is gonna do crystal things. I think a lot of them will, but not all of them. But I use the Home Chef Hustle pack way too often for me to like rank it low on my list of stuff packs. But we've had quite a few more packs come out this year, so it's probably about time for me to do another pack ranking video. I think my last pack ranking was like December of 2022. I did kit rankings more recently, but I did like a full expansion stuff pack game pack ranking a while back, and there's a couple more stuff packs and a couple more expansion packs, so it might be worth us going through and like talking about it more in depth. Let me know if I should do that, because I think that those ranking videos are really helpful. I'm like looking back on my own childhood when I say that, but I used to be obsessed with Carl's Sims 3 guide and his guides for The Sims 3, and I would non-stop read them. I read those things like 50 times trying to decide what pack to buy. So I think hearing other people's opinions of packs and like hearing someone's pack ranking, even if you might personally disagree, it's still helpful to know what other people are thinking, because then it can help you decide better which one is most worth buying, because the Sims packs are expensive. Like you want to get the right one, or you know, right one, whatever that means, but you just want to make sure you're getting what you want out of your money. So I think those pack rankings are helpful, but let me know what you think about that in the comments, because I'll listen to you on that one if I should do it again. But we are just about done with the build. I'm putting in some last minute details. I decorated the living room. There is one thing that I should probably address. If you look in like the sunroom area where the seance table is, you might notice that there's some clipping of the vines. No, there's not. Just we decided as a group in my Twitch stream that we don't see the clipping. We simply close our eyes and don't look at it, and that makes it better because I couldn't get it to go away, and I liked how it looked from the outside so much better that I just decided to leave it. But what clipping? There is no clipping, ignore that, okay? And that is the fully finished build. So what I wanna do now is pop back into the game and show you a tour of the finished product. So like I was saying, I built this house in Glimmerbrook. It's over here. There's usually a townie's house here, but it's ugly, so I bulldozed it and built my own instead. And you see what I mean about Glimmerbrook being so small. Like it's only 5 lots, there's 1 community lot. And I won't get into how bad these lots are, but we all know my thoughts on this. Oh, ew, it's nighttime. That's not helpful. Nobody wants to see that. Actually, let me let it play at night so you can see the fireflies that I put. I went in, I tried to put some like VFX fireflies. So if you look around here in the flowers, you'll see little firefly pop-ups. When you're in build mode, it looks like a weird box on the floor. But in live mode, it's actual VFX. So you cannot see this box when you're playing. It's just there in build mode. And this is what it looks like from the outside on the front of the house. It's got a small walkway and a ton of landscaping. We do have a mailbox outside. If you kind of come around the back of the house, this is what the backyard looks like. I went through and kept it kind of just open. It has that secret garden energy. We've got this really cute wishing well in the corner. I put a couple benches around. I also went in at the end and added some gnomes in. There's like a couple gemstone gnomes around the place, and I put 3 of the crystal trees. So if you played here, you've got a ton of access to crystals really easily. They do have a small back patio. This is where I have that crystal grid charging station. There's a table and also a grill. I don't know if that really fits the vibes of the castle, but I think that, oh no, oh my god, freezes are so annoying. Why is that gone? I'm just gonna ignore it. But I think that like functionally for The Sims, it's nice to have the grill because I like to cook on grills and stuff. When you come inside the house, when you first walk in, it's quite small. We've got this tiny living room. This was kind of a controversial choice, but I hid a really tiny TV in the bookshelf. And this is what I meant by the real bookshelf surrounded by 2 fake bookcase doors. This one leads to nowhere, but that one is a functional door that you can use to access the basement. So you can actually come downstairs from here. We'll come back to that part. Also in this living room, we've got like a little seance table over here to the right. I was kind of trying to embrace all of the things for like all of the paranormal, magical, everything. So I put that seance table in there. We do have a small little entry table by the front door. It's got this kind of cute crystally moon lamp. And then this is the first of the bathrooms. It's a really, really weird shape. It's kind of shaped like a P by accident. The letter P, but it has a bathtub, a toilet, a sink, very simple stuff. I put a little bit of clutter in here too. I was trying to put crystals like everywhere in this house. And then from there, you can access the dining room and the kitchen. So we have this beautiful dining table. I put like a broom on the wall and some crystals on shelves. This is what the kitchen looks like. I think I may have gone a little bit overboard with this crystal shelf back here, but I kind of liked it. My Twitch chat thought it looked like a cow plant shrine, which was not my intention, but that is kind of what it looks like by accident. I accessed a lot of these crystals, the like actual crystal collectibles from Debug, but if you're looking, if you go on the gallery, you can find things like the gemstones cut, the jewelry cut. A lot of people have been uploading those things, like full sets of it to the gallery. So I use those to decorate a little bit. I love the skull one. I think it's kind of fun. And then from here, you can also access this tiny, tiny, tiny little potion room. And don't worry, it might not look it, but it is functional. Your sim can get in there and use it if they want to. I'll show you, but we can access that. Also, there's like crystals on this cauldron, which was so perfect. And then when you go upstairs from there, we've got a very small little hallway up here. Right when you come up the staircase, we've got a small office space where I put a computer. I did use an expensive computer, but I think it was worth it because we only have a bad TV. This thing, this moon thing, is from the werewolves pack, but it's got crystals in it, so it's perfect for this too. I put that there. The hallway is quite small, but you do access the bedroom from here, and both of these bedrooms have their own balconies. The kids' room has its own desk and computer. There's a small toy, and they have like a chess table out here. And then the primary bedroom, they've got a balcony with a telescope, so your Sims can die from that. Just be aware. And this is what the bedroom looks like. I am obsessed with this bed. And I also put in this little amethyst. This one, when charged, makes your Sim gain energy faster while sleeping. So I thought that was kind of a fun spot to put it, just like right there next to the bed. You would just take that and charge it on the crystal grid and then put it back on the shelf so you could get the bonuses from it. And then upstairs, we also have a primary bathroom that's attached to the bedroom. There's no shower in this house. There's only tubs, but I think it fits the vibes of like old castle. And then when you come all the way back down through the bookcase door, you can access the basement. And in the basement, we've got this kind of cute crystal area in the bookshelf. And we've got our crystal making station with like all of our tools in here. We've got this kind of interesting potion making station in front of the crystal fireplace. I've got some storage so you can put your own collectibles there. And we've got another set of bookshelf. I put like a wand in the bookshelf and some other cute little details. It's not that big. There isn't that much to see. One annoying thing is that you can see some of the plants from down here. I don't really understand why. You can like grab these plants. They're not actually floating. Like if I take this one, that's like what was right here. But it's just weird how you can see them from the basement. I'm sorry about that. I wish that you couldn't, but you can. And that is the fully finished building. I guess I didn't put anything in the attic because I couldn't really fit a ladder very easily. It's quite small, but I think that's okay. You don't need to have anything up there. And if you're looking for it on the gallery, it's just called the Crystal Castle. It does use a bajillion packs. It's like 150,000 simoleons and it's only 2 bedrooms, but it's fun to look at. So there's that. And with that, I think I'm gonna end this video right here. I hope that you enjoyed this one. I really liked making this build. I've really been enjoying these couple packs combined. And speaking of castles, let me know if I should do a vampire castle because we kind of did a spellcaster castle. We've done all these things. I still have not done a vampire one. I've been thinking about renovating Vlad's house or like building Vlad a new one. It's just that his house is so much in a bad way that it's a little bit intimidating to me. But maybe I'll give it a shot finally. But I'm gonna go and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Okay? Bye everybody. I just love the pink flowers. I think the landscaping is so pretty on this. I want to live here. Maybe not in a castle, but like in a house that has flowers like this at least.